Alright, so I wanted to make a video about my mushroom tracking. Um, I got this new process using Google Forms, which is pretty amazing in my mind. You probably have to be a little bit of a nerd to make it past this point in the video. Um, and I'm graciously playing me harvesting some mushrooms so that you're not completely bored out of your mind. But I wanted to explain my process. So when I first started out, I was certified organic, and it's very strict. Um, all kinds of data they need. I mean, when you talk about red tape compared to even government, I mean, organic certification is blows it out of the water. So I had to come up with a system. And what I did is I came up with a pretty intelligent Google Sheet with a bunch of functions where I would input data. It would tell me like harvest weights, different dates from all the way beginning of the culture to the finished product. What I found was when I was, actually farming, harvesting and doing other stuff and having to input this stuff, I would have to like reread the entire sheet to figure out what cell I need to go to. It was just too much. And so, about a week ago, I found Google Forms, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that haven't been living under a rock like me, but I'm like blown away by how useful it is. So, like, what it does for me when I'm farming is I do a singular input, So, like, if I'm harvesting 5 pounds of Italian oyster, I just open up the form, type in, you know, um, the harvest weight and give it a batch ID and hit submit. And what that does, well, I should backtrack. So one key element to keeping track is giving a unique batch ID or lot number, if you want to call it that. Where the way the system I came up with is a two-letter precursor for each species. So like lion's mane would be LM, blue oyster would be like BL. I didn't want to pick BO. Um, so and then the follow-up would be that day's date. So like if I was harvesting 5 pounds of lion's mane today, it'd be LM070526. Um, and then like let's say that same lion's mane, um, I needed a parent ID to know where it just came from. Let's say when I was putting the grain spawn into the sawdust block, like a week and a half before, it would be like LM062926, right? So that parent ID is connected to the new batch ID, creates a paper trail. I'm sure I totally lost you there, but let me go into how you create a form. I'll touch on that. So it uses AI. So you click blank form, it'll bring up this AI prompt. So I'll say, I want to track my mushroom harvest using harvest weight, dates, and batch IDs. And it's going to generate that form and it's pretty accurate. I mean, so like I'll hit create form, gives me the batch ID, the harvest date, and you can edit all this. So like blue oyster, total harvest weight. I don't want to be measuring grams, I want to be measuring pounds, and so on. And then like when I did this, I wanted to also have a parent batch ID for like what I was just talking about, right? So that's the crash course on how to generate a form. And then let me delete that. So we'll go into like one of the ones that I did, like my harvest tracker, basically the same thing we just looked at. And then you can go into responses and it's going to track, all these different data points that you put into the form. So like it'll tell me like how much harvest I'm doing in a percentage wise of blue oyster, Italian lion's mane. So I know that I'm short on golden and pink. So maybe I should go, you know, prep some, grain spawn for that right now, you know, which I already have. But then it'll keep track of all your parent IDs. I wanted to keep track of fresh sales versus freeze dried or how much was discarded. I had a mishap in my fruiting chamber the last week. My humidifier's been acting up, disconnecting, and it stays on. So it's ruined a bunch of Italian oyster just because it's too much high humidity. And so it allows me to keep track of that sort of stuff. You can add general notes like I did here. Um, but okay, so that's all fine and dandy, right? Like you can go into individual tracking, see each input, um, see the responses based on question. But the coolest part is that you can link this to a Google Sheet where you can input very detailed functions and other elements to it. So you just click on this. You can, if you want it all to be on one sheet, you click select destination for responses. So like I created a new Google Sheet and I have all my forms go into that in each tab. And I'll show you that now. So that's what this is. So like each one of these tabs, tent tracker, harvest tracker, spawn tracker, product tracker. Um, and this isn't very accurate right now because I just came up with this system. But one key element that was missing from my old process is being able to track once I put something in the fruiting chamber, exactly how long is it going to take that species of mushroom to fully grow to be harvested. And I know in the back of my mind from experience, like, okay, lion's mane's about 8 to 10 days, but since I've been taking on chefs and, selling at markets, I have to really dial that in because um, a lot of mushrooms, especially oyster mushrooms, you have a very short window to harvest it before it goes overripe and spores out and it's not premium quality. Certain species like golden and pink, I mean, it could be hour, like 3 hour window when you actually would want to harvest that. So as I came to this, and I just came up with this new tab today, I basically just told Gemini what I wanted it to do. So I said, hey, take, you know, look at tent tracker, look at batch identifier in column C, and if that, um, let's say, find LM precursor, take that timestamp from column A in that row, subtract that timestamp from harvest tracker if there's a matching batch ID. So it's taking that other timestamp, subtracting it from here if it has LM061526, let's say, and then input that into a new tab called time tracker, put the batch ID in column A, put the average sum of time from subtracting those two timestamps in column B, and it did it. And this is a test here for Italian oysters, so that's inaccurate, but it works. So this will allow me to know down to the hour how long each species is taking to fruit out in the growth chamber. So that is super helpful for me, and I'm very excited and nerded out about it. But yeah, I just wanted to explain one other thing I forgot to mention. So the way you use this, so like once you create a form, you click publish, okay? And then you can share that link with anybody. Um, you could copy the link. So the way I'm doing it, and there's probably a better way, is I copy the link and then I put all my different form links in a Google Keep notepad. And then I open that on my phone and I create a home screen shortcut. So it's a browser-based form, right? So you can create a shortcut to your home screen where it just looks like an app and you just click on it and it automatically opens up the form. You enter in your data and you hit submit response. And then once those responses are submitted, you can keep track of it here like this. So yeah, that's my nerdy thing. If you made it to the end, congratulations. I'll probably be making more videos like this. I know there's probably not very many people interested in stuff like this, but I know of all the research I've been doing with growing mushrooms and uh, all the deep dives I do on learning, there's people out there like me. So, anyways, guys, take care. God bless.